Hi. This time I want to talk about the kind of prison planet doomers sphere and that reality is torture and a lot of stuff like that. And I came across a channel. It was a recommendation from Schizodumps, Joshua S. John. Pretty interesting guy. And I watched a couple of his videos now, and it resonated with me. I'm not gonna lie, I can really understand and relate, and because I do live a life of this constant running in circles, this same day repeating over and over again, the same kind of quest you trying to follow, like the unachievable goal of finding truth in all of this deception, or clarity, or something, at least. And every time you think you have something, it just shows that it stands on thin legs. So this mental torture of reality, this trying to figure out something that really doesn't want to be figured out, it seems sometimes, right? And every time you find these things that are let's say, attempts of trying to figure everything out turn out to be a psyop or something like that. And so he has been speaking a lot about reality, and that he played out some inner monologues with God, some argumentations with God, right? And it's totally understandable from a Christian perspective, to be fair. And that's something I really think is pretty important. That I personally feel that a lot of these yeah, doomer kind of subgroups, cultures. There's also this one with they have the symbol of the snake eating itself. It's anti something, anti-nihilism. I don't know. It sounds like anti-nihilism, but it's a little bit different. But in the end, it's about that. Nobody chose this. Reality is cruel and shit, and theoretically, like like conscious beings or conscious being should be prevented instead of more established. And it kind of made click for me. We have a guy in Germany. He's called Traukeim Promi, and he made a couple years ago. I watched it I think last year or something for the first time, and it really was pretty eye-opening, or at least it gave me a pretty huge perspective and a lot of other things that I didn't relate before kind of connected to one another. And when, I don't know, for me, the moments of enlightenment or something like that, when I'm starting to realize something, usually the clearest sign is when you understand motive of other people doing shit, right? Because I think schizos most of the time are kind of stuck trying to figure the shit out other people are actually doing, right? So when you start to realize, okay, this is how politicians think, this is how actors think, this is how this and this, when those things start to line up and you understand, with your understanding of your human psychology, especially if you have experimented with yourself and with drugs, I guess, or just observed, right? You can see how influential you are, how different kind of things are possible, how you can be modded and shit like this. And either way, so what's the takeaway? The takeaway is kind of that Christianity is a psyop, that and it was it was a bit more, right? But the start was the Gnostic. That was kind of the start, I guess, of Christianity, or the prototype, which didn't seem to go too well. And then they rebranded it to somewhat of the thing we know today. Also, when it then came like the official religion of Rome, which is also right a questionable thing, like this like kind of development of the Christian belief, how it like started as this like kind of like nihilistic, like probably like the first goths, I guess, like the first emo kids from Rome. They adopted like this like Gnostic thing, and like probably more like the misfits, more like the miserable people, and like probably also schizos, maybe, I don't know. I mean, that's like a whole nother thing, but either way, that was like a thing. And then like Christianity kind of took over a whole of Europe, and like most of the West is like kind of influenced a lot by it, right? And I see it on multiple levels that it is because like you have to, like there's like so much Christianity in the West that even people who completely distance themselves still have Christianity in them. It's just that Christianity is a form of how the world is to be perceived. It is like narrative reality control, mind control, if you want to see it like that. Like it's not, it's, I mean, yeah, you can say, it's bad. And yeah, like in the Christian thing, I think it's bad. I mean, you see the result, and the result shows, I think, if it's good or bad, right? It could be good, it could be a better religion that, like, I don't know if you right, if you think about like Vikings or something like that, like a belief system that actually makes you do the shit you need to do or something, be a man, and something that actually strengthens you instead of weakens, right? And that's the thing that Christianity did to us. It pretty much weakened us a lot. And I remember Schizodums had like a thumbnail, love your enemies, and then Schizodums, because like it's a moment, it's like, love your enemies sounds, if you like actually in hindsight now that we're basically on the brink of defeat, it kind of is like, maybe we shouldn't have thought that for a couple thousand years, huh? And, it's not that I want to shit talk like Christians or something, right? Because like I can understand there's a lot of good stuff, it's not that, it's just super stupid, and because I personally don't believe that people a couple thousand years ago were so stupid. Maybe they weren't as educated as we were, but it doesn't mean they're stupid. And so it seemed, it was a trap. I think it was a trap, a trap meant for the Romans, and in the end it worked for even more, and the kind of authors, like the kind of people behind all this Christian thing, that's like a whole nother story, right? And I wonder what these people are doing today, I mean, like, I don't want to bring you these messages, but I know it's just what I've heard, yeah, I don't know, it's like and like also like this like Satan stuff and like satanic, also like Freemasonry and shit like that. I think it's also all feeding off Christianity, because like I had like a metaphor in my mind, like if you have like a war or something, right, and you have like people actually being exposed to the war, being in the battlefield, right? And then you have a lot of people who know that the war is there, who are somewhat also, because they're in the same country, also the whole country is at war, right? But not everyone is actually in the actual war, right? So imagine you have like people, like, I don't know, like some guys from the boot camp who are like 17, 16, who heard like, like classical, nothing new from the West type, they heard like these like stories from the war, this like kind of heroic stuff. Then they go to the boot camp, where they think, oh, it's all, nice and tidy. I have to, clean my shoes and stuff like that. And everything I say has to be perfect. The way I walk is measured and shit like that. And then they go to the front. Then they go into the actual war. And then they meet the people who are in the war for maybe a bit longer than them. Um, and what they will realize instantly is that what they tell you, like how people are acting behind the front, even though they're also at war, is that like, it's like not how they tell it is. War is not. And you realize that a lot of stuff that you've learned in the boot camp, a lot of stuff that all your like officers and drill sergeants were so picky about, that all that shit basically doesn't matter a little bit ski, and all the stuff, or a lot of stuff that matters, actually wasn't taught, and you're there now to figure that shit out. And imagine that training from the drill sergeants, like that stuff back home, that's like the normal Christianity, like the sheep, the good mention, the people who are actually more talking, or like they can talk about the war, but they're not actually in the front. They actually have no idea, what it is like, and they didn't went through the process, right? And I personally think that a lot of schizos, a lot of also Satanists maybe, or Freemasons, all these people who like have like a Christian influence but not Christian, more like a Christian opposing belief. It's like they understand that all this like neat stuff from the Bible is nice, but the war is something else, and for the war you need something more. And like it like that's why I like to call it the invisible war, right? It's because the metaphor, I think it kind of makes a bit sense. It of course it like when like people get to the front, like usually they don't choose it, because like a lot of people just don't. A lot of people have like the usual struggles and stuff like that, and they have like, right, because they hear the propaganda, and they hear how the countries are like slurring at each other or something, so it's not that they are impacted by the war, but not in the way a front soldier is. And I don't know, when I think about like a lot of you can see like a just normal child who maybe is a bit different than the others and gets through the ADHD thing, and this like kind of soft MK Ultra shit, and then like it's like wandering around this whole youth basically to look out for something that he think he has to find, that he think he has lost or something like that, and like has to wander around in madness basically. And of course this person I would see to be in the war, and a elite born child. I don't know. I'm thinking a bit of Trump because I know something, like some stuff about his history. So let's take like a Trump, who's like kind of born in this like elite shit, who maybe had like even some prophecies from the start. I don't know if you believe in something like that he was like the prophesied child from Aleister Crowley or something like that. There's some wild theories out there, but there's some more like easy stuff to point out, like the school he went to and shit like that. So like like not everyone is get sent in the same way to the front, maybe not even on the same side, right? And also you see that it's like not like there is like kind of where the metaphor is breaking, right? When you take it a bit too punctual, because like it's like it feels like it, not like a team deathmatch at this point. It feels like all against all, and the sides are not clear again. And either way, let's try to get back to the point. So I think when people get to the front and they realize that all this like nice good mensch stuff, or this like Christian influenced belief that where it's like it's a lot about positive thinking, right? And because my personal experiences and beliefs are that the world is like, yeah, I'm like kind of like a balanced thing, you know. I think that there should be, or there could be more like just about love as hate or something like that, you know. I do see this thing that there's like a lot of suffering and a lot of pain in the world, but yet I don't think it's like 24/7 for everyone all the time. I believe in balance. I think just the balance is like kinda not working on our favor anymore, and like it's shifting. You know, like the dark times are rising. You know, since a while, and how could this happen is the question. And I do think it is Christianity. I do think it is like, because if you look at other belief systems, they seem more based, you know, they seem not so, you know what I mean? And you know, like it's not that the Christian thing is like a whole bad. It's like they have like a lot of good points. It's just they don't cope with the bad ones really good. And then also, like, if you really want to like talk about Bible stuff and stuff like that, then it's like if you see like what the small head people, you know, are like, what they have like kind of as lore, and then you see like the kind of relations to Christianity, how it seems like they willingly gave you like half a picture, and that like it's like part of their like universe, like like and like Jesus and Satan are like kind of like the things they have given us, like, and that's like when you really think about it, like why should we just adopt something like that and say, yeah, okay, I mean, you know. And I mean, I don't know, when I think about like the evil entities or something, you know, the kind of things the humanity is getting sold to actively, then maybe sometimes I call them the devil, you know. Because it of course I mean, I'm Christian influenced as well, right? But I don't know, like this like whole Satan and Jesus stuff is like, it seems to be that like they're like, I don't know, like I heard you can put them in the same basket basically. And yeah, and like they have like this like ritual, Yom Kippur or what they call it, where like the small head people, where they send the goat, and they bribe Satan or like the devil or whoever with it, and it's like they have like some really messed up stuff, and and you could laugh at it, yeah, you know, you could laugh at it and be like, oh yeah, it's just religion, you know. uh, but when you see that the stuff seems to work, you know, because like they're not getting punished, I mean, yeah, okay, not anymore, you could say, you know. It's not that I want them to be punished, but I like the small head people, because there's a bunch of innocent among that group. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's messed up. It's messed up, and I do feel like this like prison planet thinking, luge farming, you know. I do feel like that there is truth to it. There's definitely truth to it. You know, I remember watching a video, like a really small clip one, where like a guy was talking about his DMT experiences, and he had like he had like no clue about anything. You know, he was like a normal dude, and he was just, you know, trying to do something funny or something, and he did some DMT, and he was in this realm, and then there came this chick, and the chick had like kind of like snake or fish, what do you call them here, the legs, huh? Fish legs or snake legs. And the woman looked at him and said, he is not ready. And then she started torturing him, and was like torturing him to the point where he thought he would die. Like she was like squishing him with the legs, with these snake legs. And yeah, and squishing him until he was thinking he would die. Then she loosened, just to strengthen up again. Um, and yeah, I remember going through the comments, and there was one guy typing. She was actually luge farming him, and not just that, right? I mean that this like kind of figure is there's a couple interesting depictions of a similar entity, right? So it seems to be, if you look a bit around ski, it seems to be like a thing, right? With these entities. Also, of course, the people running this world are actively working with these things. Um, and of course we don't know if it works, but it seems to, right? I mean, does it matter? And to be fair, I mean, like, if you think about it, do the Freemasons, do the small head people, or do any one of these groups, supposed groups, the billionaires, right? Do these groups actually win? Like in the long term, if you think about it, like with the shit they're doing, with the world they're building, with the capabilities they have, also the Rothschilds and like all these families, right? Does it really seem like they're building a world like okay, enslave whole humanity and shit like that, but in the end, like bombing all away the aesthetics, like completely terraforming this planet, making the food shite, the livestock, it's like if they would actually be somewhat reasonable, right? And yeah, but if these like super families, if they would be somewhat reasonable, right, they would at least build a kind of slavery that it is at least pleasant for them, and yeah, you can say, yeah, they have like these jets and all the shit like that, right? But yeah, they have like the yachts and the private jets and shit like that. But the next Friday they have to do the ritual again, and it's like like that's why I say they sold humanity, because they're part of humanity. So also they sold themselves. Yeah, they have the jets and shit like that. But as Type 2 Productions once said, you gotta make the Dark Lord happy, man. So. And those little children we got from Europe, they won't sacrifice it by themselves. And yeah, these people have sadistic pleasure in that. They don't see it the way you see it. Gotcha, right? But it has to be tedious at some point. Like, and also like, I, it's like a whole nother topic, right? Like how the top of, like, the actual top of the food chain, under the humans, how they actually operate and think and live and shit like that. But I think it's important to think about, right? And I do really feel like that, in the end, these entities, like these things, will win, and not the Rothschilds, not the billionaires, right? And especially not the normal people, right? But I do really think that it is important to see that it is a construction site. They're building that, in front of our eyes, and it's getting worse. It's not finished, right? It's not finished. It's not to a point where, like, even thinking about this like kind of conspiracy in any way, is like completely prevented. That like probably like what's the reason of having smart people then, right? I mean you can say, yeah, the smarter you are, the more loosh they give. I don't know, maybe, but to keep like a system running and stuff like that, and to have people be like emotionally completely confused and rationally way too stupid to understand it, right? I think that's like kind of what they're trying to achieve, which seems to also go well, but it's not at a point where it's finished, where it's like completely like the actual prison, because we can still run away, we can still inform ourselves and be smart enough and realize and go offline if you want to see it like that, right? So, and I mean, the perfect luge farm would be one where like suicide is just not possible, not even maybe thinkable, right? But maybe, I don't know, because monkeys do as they see. I don't know, maybe you could build a reality where or where death is just, so out of concept that people can't even imagine. It doesn't even seem like a real thing to end yourself. I don't know, because if you see how the human psyche is working, it could be possible at some point in a couple thousand years to, make people so out of touch of reality, right? That, they actually completely have reprogrammed what life looks like and what people think about life and what is just accepted among the people. Yeah, that's just life, right? And we're also, it's something what we have already, where we just agree on how, like sometimes, where we just agree on how shit life is, right? And it's a funny thing. Sometimes. And I don't know. I mean, of course, it's also not so funny because, yeah, I mean, life can suck. I mean, speaking from my own experiences, I have nothing to do. I'm just sitting here. Uh, um, uh, uh, because, yeah, I want to go out. Yeah, I want to talk with other people. Yeah, I don't have the interest to talk into my fucking phone or something. But, it's like those people don't really live. I mean that they're not living in the same reality as me is understandable, but they don't even work with the same kind of operating system or something, and they have like this like constructed reality that they have given, and like their black box and that they don't want to touch. And yeah, and then it's like yeah, so, and then in the end, I'm stuck here with myself. I mean, that's the way it is. So I do understand that, yeah, life can suck really hard, but I do still believe in my heart that life is not just about suffering, and yeah, and that suffering can actually intensify the pleasure, and that tension and release is a natural thing. It's like what you get from this like kind of balance from minus and plus, from black and white. And I mean, that's something that you have to accept, that life is built on tension, that, yeah, life is always moving and shit like this, right? But you have to understand, right, that there's like 3 types of a matrix, I would personally say. So the first, and I think the most important one for the schizos, is like our life spirit, right? The source of consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. That's like the first matrix, and the one that is really struggling with this reality, especially in these times. Understandably, because our reality is being reconstructed to one where consciousness is not really meant to be conscious, where our spirit, our free spirit, is not meant to be free, and where our energy, our attention, our efforts are harvested, right? A farm, right? A big a farm of luge, and probably all kinds of energy. So that's that one matrix. It is definitely important, but the second one is like most of this reality, like with the earth, with a night and day, with sleeping, eating, shitting, and whatever humans do, and animals, reproducing, eating, killing, I don't know, right? In my sense, the balanced matrix. I'm not so sure about balance and consciousness. I think balance is more something of this reality, of this matrix, what our own matrix, where we are coming from, is adapting on. I think like our brains are split into 2 sections. Our whole body is like symmetric, like the way, right? So it does seem a bit more like that. Our consciousness had to adapt to the balance of this world, to the tensions of this world. And I think if you think about it, if you think about like all the crazy cool shit that can happen, that humans probably already did, then you understand that consciousness, our matrix, where we are coming from, probably does get benefits from it. I heard from this like other YouTube channel, the critic, that there's like in the afterlife, and then there's like a sadistic person, and he's like saying like, oh yeah, I killed like all these people and I had so much fun and shit like that, right? And that was such a crazy story, right? And I mean, it's messed up, but probably a part of it, probably a part of it, And but to be fair, like this, like even like this kind of thinking that we are here to, live our dreams or something, have a nice story going, have like something to do, but of course, like the way we are heading, I, I I think that's like the main problem, and not that in general every kind of experience is like supposed to be shit, that like everything is just supposed to be shit, because I don't know, like I don't see that, right? Because then I would just feel sorry for everyone. And I mean, yeah, maybe sometimes I do a little bit, but when I think about like, when I see the other people outside, I don't, I mean, I see how like they're like, have like their invisible strings above them, but it's not like that I feel like I need to kill people because it would be better for them or something, like I would like, not just because the killing part, but like in general. That's also why I haven't killed myself yet, because I don't think it's just about suffering, but it's more and more getting to that point. And yeah, and that's like the reason that we're getting there to that point. I think that's like the third matrix, right? The matrix most people talk about, right? The normie agenda, the left politics, like the supposed democracy, and all this like kind of stuff, right? That's like the third kind of matrix. So you have your consciousness, you have and probably like the heaven or whatever, right? The source of it all, Maybe also, I think personally, the thing most people interpret as God, I think is like the thing where we coming from, the source of consciousness, the collective, which is also probably down another rabbit hole, like collective consciousness and stuff like that. But it, because like, imagine you would be watched but not by yourself all the time, right? That would be fucking creepy, right? Imagine God would be like one of these entities disguising, and I think maybe, just maybe, okay, maybe Jesus is one of them, like these like kind of entities that got dressed up, because like, I don't know, people seem to go pretty crazy for that guy, right? And I mean, there's human beings that also people went pretty crazy for, that also were mainly just depicted in pictures, right, and talked about. So maybe that's already enough to get people like crazy on that guy. But maybe, I don't know, when they say like they have like a relation to Jesus, they talk to him and stuff like that, right? Then it seems to be almost like a bit more, right? But yeah, I don't know. Back to the point, I do think that God is more like the collective conscious, and I don't know, also something I just thought about, right? Like, because like as a kid I had like this like feeling, and maybe it was also because my mom sometimes talked about it, right? I felt like I had like these like guardian angels, or like a guardian angel sometimes. Actually just one. But sometimes I felt like he was like watching over me or something, right? And like from like today's kind of perspective, right, you could be saying, yeah, that's probably just uh, an archon, or I don't know, an entity watching over you. But then, like, if you would say that like all of these entities, right, and they're all just evil, they all want just the loosh and nothing else, then I wonder why it didn't scare me. I wonder why it didn't, made me go sleepless nights or something, um, and and I mean, I do think there are probably entities like that, where then the children, they cannot sleep anymore, and it's like talking to him or something, then it goes to the psychologist, and the kid is saying it's hearing voices and shit like this or something, I don't know, and then like the whole life of the kid is cooked, right? And probably because with the today's agenda about how we handle life, and the missing knowledge about a bunch of stuff, uh, this kid will probably be a perfect loosh farmer until the death, right? So it does seem that not everything is bad. It does seem that there's maybe still some good out there. But the problem is, if you base your thinking too much about on Christian thoughts, on Christian perceiving of reality, right? And also like this, that's just something I always heard, I always hear like from the like Prisonplanet and like this like kind of sphere, like they always focus on like all the suffering, all the pain people have, all the things getting eaten all the time, and it's like, yeah, but that's like half the story, other half the story is how many people fucked today, how many babies were born, how many happy families were found today, how many true loves have been found and shit like that, right? And it's getting less. I won't argue against that. It's getting less than the bad stuff. The bad stuff is getting more, it seems like, in some parts, especially the human life, right? And not just the human life, but like, yeah, probably in general. But it's not that that's supposed to be. And I think that, and that's something really important, I think that we have to understand that we are God. And that's something, by the way, also some of those really high-level Freemason, stupid, occultic shit are saying. That, when they take acid or something, or even in their scripts, that we are God. There is like no God on this planet yet, except us. And yeah, we can like the Romans and the Nordics and the Germanics, we can have like hero stories and archetypes, simplification of things, and like we can give gods for the forces of nature and stuff like that, but and then that makes sense, I mean, like, why not, there's like it's like just potential for nice world writing, for just a little bit more of aesthetic, and like those kind of religions make, in my eyes, I mean, I haven't studied them or something, but like the idea just seems a bit more sensible, to just basically give the word like a little narrative, but like, I don't know how to say it, right? But this idea that there's like this guy in the heavens watching over us and like administrating us, is like BS. Because either, and that's the important thing, either this guy is like a complete dick or he doesn't exist. And every, like, and like that's like the answer, or like the different types of answers for like he's a dick option is like Freemasonry, like Satanism. Also, I think Prison Planet, like they are not super related. They are related from the same kind of problem, like the same kind of problem that we got promised from Christian belief system. We got promised that there is something watching us, and we find out either he's a dick or he doesn't exist, right? And you understand through your research there is definitely something, like, right? Like behind the certain, like there is something behind perceivable reality. There's something behind the 3 dimensions. The question is just what? And then the question is, again, like it seems reasonable that there is something. So it's not that God doesn't exist. It's more that either he got misinterpreted or he's a dick. And it, like, this whole level of thinking only makes sense if you start with the promise that there is a guy. Like, and yeah, there's probably decent entities, but like the question is, like, I mean, you know, like, we should be more like having trust in us, you know, having trust in the humans. And that's also something that has been degraded, right? That the belief in humanity, right? I mean, and that's something that people should believe in first, and then they maybe can believe in Jesus or something like that. But, you know, if we can't believe in ourselves, then we are cooked, right? Because then we just leave it up to God or leave it up to the high priest, you know, sacrificing our little children to make the Dark Lord happy, and then they tell us what the plan is, right? Which seems crazy, which is crazy, and that's the way it is, I guess, on a simplified level. So I don't know. It's a rough ride with me, I know. I'm jumping a lot, but it's really important, I think, to understand that a lot of belief systems are based on Christianity, are coming from the problem that Christianity sooner or later reveals, like the soldier on the front who is coming from the boot camp, who's thinking, my boots are clean, you know, my rifle is perfectly fine, and you know, my uniform is just as it's meant to be, I'm ready for the war, just to realize that nothing of that shit matters, right? And probably the stuff that matters more, then maybe, I don't know, like if you go into detail, you know, like in the boot camp they say, oh, you have to put the grenades on the belt like this, you know, because that's how we tell it in the books, because that's how it looks nice on the pictures, just to find out at the front that that's completely stupid, and all sensible soldiers are carrying the grenades otherwise, because they need them handy, they need them fast, right? It's war, it's not a training. And like this, like, kind of war probably is a lot based on this, like, lie that we got sold to, that there's like this super great guy, and, you know, if it's really going bad for us, right, he will just send down his son, and his son, he will figure it out, right? He will figure it out, or something. And I mean, like if you think about it, right, like, about this, like, Jesus idea, I mean, yeah, it's maybe blasphemy or something, you know, but just imagine you're actually the Son of God, right? You can walk across water, you can heal people from cancer, you can rise from the dead, right? And you're probably the most enlightened person there will ever be, because you're the divinity in person. You're the Son of God, the only one, supposedly. And you're here to help the sheep, to get on green grass again, and to, I don't know, bring justice or something like that, right? Make the world great again to God's image. I don't know. And then you look at what Jesus actually did. I mean, like, I mean, maybe he wasn't creative enough or something, right? But like shouldn't he be like walking to America or something? Like take like a 3-week trip or something and walk across the ocean and you know, and help those guys too. Aren't those also like people to help? Like this like whole idea makes like, and that's like monotheism, right? Like all the world religions, or like the main three, right? The desert religions. It just, the more you think about it, the more it just doesn't make sense. Like it's just, you can just, I personally, I feel like this like a little headache, you know, because there's just like a concept that's just not fitting with actual reality, with all the stuff that I've gathered, right? Where it really seems I don't know. I mean, it's like a proper schizo post, but yeah, I don't know, mate. It's yeah, I think it's funny, right? Because like Christianity has kind of given an image to evil, so you can't say Christianity is the root of all evil because they have redesigned it. Like, I want to say again, you know, I do understand that there's a lot of good things in Christian belief, that it's not all bad. It's just that the bad is missing. That and not just that there's like a bunch of half truths, and in the end you can understand, you can see that it is a psyop. I mean, just look at what Christianity actually did, you know, to the people today, and also just like it has gotten us to the point where we are, right? And you know, I do think that it has divided the tribes and unified it at the same time. It redefined, like, I don't know. It's fuck, man. I think I should do like another one, man. But fuck it. I don't know. I just spent like a lot of time thinking about it, but when I'm trying to represent it without sounding too schizo, it's a bit hard. But just imagine that I personally just believe that there was like a, you know, this like somewhat harmonic, balanced world, you know, the tribes, you know, sometimes at war, sometimes at peace, you know, that's the way it goes, you know, small little conflicts sometimes here and there, you know, but like the tribes thriving, you know, for themselves, you know, having their little communities, having like a natural space of living, you know, you knew like all the elderly, you knew all the newborns, you know, you knew all the chicks and the boys in your club, you know, and then Christianity came, you know, and said, you know, we dictate now what life is, you know, and actually, you know, I don't know. It's just the pictures getting into my mind, you know, that we shouldn't have lost that fight. We shouldn't have lost that fight, but in the end, you know, Christianity took over too much and was just an unstoppable force. And also, right, if you think about like the Christian belief system, you know, that like why even is it so expanding? Like, I mean, if it's like a good man's religion, right, then the question kind of is like, why is it so invasive? Why is it like, why did it took so much shit over for like no reason, basically? I mean, like, this like Jesus thing was like somewhere in the desert, you know, and then suddenly it's like up in Finland. I mean, like, what the fuck? And if you see like that like Christianity is like, of course, an institution, right? It's a bit more than just it's more just about the book, right? It's also what this like book and what like all those people make you capable of. And then you have like all this like globalizing shit going on, you know, which I think is mainly possible with Christianity. And I mean, it's not that I think that like the technical developments or something suck. I mean, they do kinda. I think it was just a bit too fast. Like, it's like if somebody had like a cheat code or something, you know. And we're like at a progress right now with technology where we should be like in a couple thousand years or something, in a world where, you know, we're like more like kind of these like independent tribes, you know. But we have like this Christianity thing, which kind of make us all somewhat civilized to the same ideas, which made, of course, like interworking way more possible, right? And information exchange and shit like that, which is a good thing, of course, on one side. But on the other side, you know, it does, again, is a scam, because it seems like a good trade, but in the end it's where has all the technology gotten us, you know? Where has Christianity gotten us, you know? And I mean, I do understand this like questioning of reality and questioning. I think maybe, you know, if you live through the same day every day, the question if maybe your reality is just pain and suffering, and maybe you should take the power to end it when you still have it, you know. Maybe that's of an important aspect. I don't think we should silence those voices, but it's not just all about that. Or especially it shouldn't be all about that, and it doesn't have to be. And we have to fight for something better. We have to fight for the balance, right? Like in Star Wars, you know, we have to fight off the Sith Lords, you know, the ones selling us to those fucking entities, you know. Man, what a ride again, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it. I don't think if it actually came over clearly what I meant with all this shit. But, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's about it.